Inside a silent, high-rise office where danger breathes through every shadow, Alice faces the most feared man in the city, Smith, the cold-hearted Mafia boss. The heavy door locks behind her. No guards, no escape. Only his piercing eyes and one chilling command. "Sit down, you're not leaving until you tell me the truth." But tonight, something unexpected happens in that dark office. A secret from the past. A scar she hides, and a confession that could shatter his iron heart. This isn't just a confrontation. It's the moment a monster discovers he's still human. Stay till the end, because within these four walls of power and fear, a dangerous soul will find his redemption. Alice's fingers trembled as she stood before the massive wooden door, its polished surface reflecting her fearful eyes like a mirror of fate. She hesitated, breathing slowly, reminding herself why she was here. Her heartbeat pounded like a trapped bird inside her chest. The corridor behind her was silent, but this silence felt nothing like peace. It felt like judgment. With a soft push, the door creaked open, and she stepped into the realm of a man the world feared. The room was dim, lit only by the golden glow of a single lamp resting on a corner table. The smell of leather and cigar smoke lingered in the air, heavy and haunting. She could feel it, the weight of power. Smith sat behind a vast mahogany desk, carved with dragons and thorns, symbols of a man who trusted no one. His presence was overwhelming, like a storm held inside a human body. He didn't speak. He didn't blink. His cold, steely eyes tracked her every step, stripping her courage with every second. The door closed behind her with a deep thud, final, unescapable. She was inside the lion's den, and the lion was awake. "Sit down," he commanded, his voice low and sharp like a blade. No question, no mercy, an order. Alice obeyed slowly, her legs barely supporting her. The chair felt too large, making her feel painfully small. Her palms were sweating, hidden beneath the table, but she forced her chin up. She could not appear weak. Not now. His eyes narrowed. "You're not leaving until you tell me the truth." His tone was not rage. It was worse. Calm, controlled, dangerous. It was the voice of a man who never repeated himself. Alice struggled to breathe. She had prepared words, lies, excuses. But now, under his gaze, everything crumbled. The room felt alive, watching her, whispering, "One wrong word, one breath too loud, and you're finished." She heard the clock ticking on the wall. Each tick felt like a countdown to her end. "I asked you a question," Smith said softly, almost too softly. That softness was terrifying. She swallowed hard. I didn't mean to interfere. I was only—" "Only what?" he interrupted, leaning forward, elbows on the desk. "Spying? Stealing?" Her pulse roared in her ears. He thought she was here to destroy him. If she spoke the truth, she might die. But if she lied, she'd lose her only chance to save him from the danger he couldn't see. She clasped her hands tightly, nails digging into her skin. "Be brave, Alice. You came here for a reason." His eyes bore into hers, powerful yet unreadable. He looked like a man carved from stone, a king of shadows, untouchable. And yet, something flickered in those eyes. Pain? Loneliness? It was gone in a blink. Alice dared to whisper, "I came with no harm." "Prove it," he said. The words hung between them like a knife on a thread. The air grew colder. The door behind her remained locked. She was trapped, with a man who trusted no soul, and she held a secret that could shatter everything. She came to protect him, but what she reveals next might turn Smith's world into fire. Because the real enemy is not outside his walls, but sitting too close to his throne. Smith leaned forward slowly, like a predator studying its prey, his eyes sharp enough to cut through her soul. He wasn't just looking at her, he was looking through her, dissecting every breath she took. That gaze was infamous in his world. One look, and men confessed their darkest sins. But Alice, she didn't break. She trembled, but she held herself together as if she carried something heavier than fear. "Who sent you?" he asked, voice controlled, deadly calm. "Police? Enemy gang? Or are you here to betray me?" His tone echoed off the cold walls, drawing invisible lines of tension around them. Alice's lips parted, but her voice was trapped behind her heartbeat. The truth she carried felt like fire in her chest. I came alone," she whispered, each word fragile. "I swear I'm not here to harm you." Before her words could even settle in the air, his palm hit the desk. Slam! The sound thundered across the room. "Don't lie to me!" His shout wasn't rage, it was betrayal, as if lies had once cost him something unforgivable. Alice jolted, her breath catching. She had heard rumors, how he punished deceit, how no one dared to look him in the eye. Yet something inside her refused to kneel. She inhaled shakily. She must stay strong. Smith studied her again, but this time confusion flickered behind his fury. She looked terrified, yes. But it wasn't him she feared. Her eyes held the echo of something deeper, older, a wound unseen. Suddenly his gaze dropped to her wrist. A scar, thin, white, old, but painfully alive. Time froze. Something in him shifted. So small, so quick, no one else would notice. But Alice did. His eyes, for a fraction of a second, softened. Not with pity, with recognition. Pain recognizes pain, but as quickly as it appeared, it vanished. His armor slammed back into place. "You will not walk out of this room," he warned, voice low, dangerous, "until you speak the truth." Alice clenched her jaw, fighting the tears burning behind her eyes. She had come prepared for anger, for threats, but not for him to notice her scar, not for him to see her. She lifted her wrist slightly, almost unconsciously, fingers brushing the faded line. That scar held a story she had never shared, a night she had never forgotten, a secret she had never planned to reveal. His eyes followed the movement. His brows twitched, just enough to reveal a question. "What happened to you?" She swallowed hard. Something told her that if she lied now, he'd see it, and it would destroy everything she came here for. Inside him, an internal war raged. Should he break her, or hear her? No one had ever dared walk in here unarmed. No one had ever sat before him with shaking hands, but eyes that refused to surrender. Alice took a slow breath. "Then I will speak," she whispered. Smith didn't move, but she felt it. The room itself leaned forward. Everything was about to change. She is not the enemy he fears, but the truth she carries might reveal one he never expected. And once she speaks, nothing in that office will remain the same. Alice's breath trembled as tears welled up, shimmering like glass under the dim office light. Her hands tightened on the arms of the chair, holding herself together, holding her truth from collapsing into sobs. She lifted her gaze, not in defiance, but in devotion to something greater, something Smith couldn't yet see. "I wasn't here to steal anything." Her voice cracked, fragile yet brave. "I was trying to find proof." Smith's expression darkened, confusion slicing through his anger. Proof? Of what? His world was built on secrets, betrayal, shadows. No one searched for proof in his realm, only revenge. "Proof of what?" he asked, his brow tightening. He leaned forward, tension wired in every muscle, expecting a trick, expecting treachery. Alice's next words fell like a whisper, but hit like thunder. "Proof that you're not the monster people say." The world, time, even the silent clock on the wall, all paused. For the first time, Smith didn't know how to speak. Monster. It was a word he had carried like chains, a title carved into him by those who never cared to know the reasons behind his brutality. He had accepted it as destiny, as armor. Yet here, before him, sat a woman who dared to deny it. He stared at her, eyes unreadable, but something shifted. barely visible, a flicker of disbelief, wounded disbelief. Alice continued, her voice shaking but filled with painful honesty. You saved my life 3 years ago. You don't remember me. Smith's jaw tightened. He didn't move, but his pupils trembled. A memory rippled through him like smoke. Gunfire, screams, flames devouring metal walls, and a girl, young, terrified, trapped behind crates. He had kicked down a burning door, lifted her in his arms, left her in an alley, safe, before disappearing back into chaos. He never looked back. He had never asked her name. Alice stepped forward slowly, fearless now, as if crossing a line she had long waited to cross. You pulled me from the fire when no one else would. You disappeared before I could thank you. He could feel the ghost of flames in the air. He remembered the weight of that girl in his arms, but he never imagined she would return. Like this. I owe you my life, she whispered, her voice trembling. I came here not to betray you, but to protect you from someone inside your own circle. Those words were knives, not aimed at him, but at someone close. Somewhere behind his stone mask, something broke. Betrayal was not new, but this warning came with wounded devotion. Alice, he murmured her name for the first time. It tasted unfamiliar on his tongue, as if fate had left it waiting there for years. She looked at him, eyes brimming, not with fear, but with fierce truth. I saw goodness in you when the world only saw danger. I don't want your power. I want your safety. The Mafia boss, the feared Smith, felt a crack in his fortress. For the first time, someone didn't ask him for fear, money, or mercy. She asked him to believe. Now that her truth is revealed, another truth rises. Someone close to Smith wants him destroyed. And before this night ends, trust will be tested in blood. Smith's eyes narrowed into sharp slits, his entire presence shifting like an earthquake beneath calm ground. His voice was deadly quiet. Who? That one word shook the air. Alice hesitated. Her fingers trembled slightly, clutching the truth like a blade she wished she didn't have to use. The name she was about to speak was dangerous, not for her, but for the man standing before her. Your most trusted man, she whispered. Vincent. The name hit like a bullet. Smith froze. For a moment, the entire room seemed to fall into silence. No ticking clock, no breathing. Just disbelief. Vincent. The man he had fought alongside. The man he trusted with his life. The man who once swore loyalty through blood. Smith's fists tightened, veins rising along his hands. His breath came slow, heavy, controlled. Too controlled. Alice, with trembling courage, reached into her pocket and pulled out a folded paper. Her hand extended, offering him the very proof that could shatter his entire empire. I overheard Vincent, she said, voice breaking under the weight of betrayal. He's planning to sell you out, deliver your secrets, for money. Smith snatched the paper, his fingers brushing hers for a split second. Electricity. Real. Raw. But he ignored it, eyes locked on the paper. His jaw clenched so hard the muscles twitched down his neck. He read the words. Each line felt like acid burning his past. Meetings, prices, details. Vincent had not just betrayed him, he had sold his soul to destroy him. Rage roared inside him, but beneath that rage, something unexpected stirred. Gratitude. This woman, this stranger he had doubted, was saving him from the bullet he never saw coming. She wasn't his enemy. She was his shield. His voice, when it came, was not loud. It was something far more dangerous, soft. Why? He looked up, eyes piercing hers. Why risk your life for me? Alice met his gaze without flinching. Her eyes shone, not with fear, but with truth. Because the world may fear you, she whispered, but I saw kindness hidden in you. I cannot let that heart be destroyed. Something inside Smith cracked, not loudly, not wildly. It cracked quietly, painfully, like ice breaking over deep water. For the first time in years, he was speechless. All his life, people saw a monster, a tyrant, a mafia king. But she, this woman who owed him nothing, saw a heart worth saving. And that terrified him more than any betrayal. Betrayal has been exposed, but now comes the confrontation. Will Smith choose revenge or justice? And what will he do with the woman who just touched his wounded soul? Silence settled over the room like a heavy blanket, thick, unmoving, real. It was no longer the silence of threat, but of awakening. Smith slowly rose from his chair, the leather creaking under the shift of his weight. Each step he took around the desk was unhurried, deliberate, like a man walking toward a truth he'd spent his life avoiding. Alice remained still. She could feel the fierce presence approaching, every breath he took drawing closer. Yet she didn't flinch. She didn't look away. She faced him, not as the world did, with terror, but with a quiet, trembling courage. He stopped just inches away from her. This close, she could see the fine lines near his eyes, marks of sleepless nights, battles fought alone. She could smell the faint scent of smoke and cologne lingering on his coat. Gone was the ruthless boss. Standing before her was a man, damaged, guarded, human. His voice was softer now, stripped of command. "You're not afraid of me?" Alice's heartbeat raced, but her answer flowed with gentle truth. "I was," she admitted, eyes holding his, "but I see pain in your eyes that no monster has." Her words stunned him more than any betrayal ever could. A storm thundered within his chest. No one had ever dared speak to him this way. People kneeled, people begged, people feared. But she saw through him, through the rage, through the scars, through the shadowed legend of his name. His jaw tightened, not from anger, but from restraint. From vulnerability he no longer had strength to hide. "Why do you care?" he asked, voice rough, raw, almost childlike in its ache. Alice's eyes glistened with unshed tears, not of fear, but of understanding. "Because no soul is born evil," she whispered. "Some are just deeply hurt." The words pierced him, deeper than bullets ever had. He had been called many things in life, monster, devil, tyrant, but never had anyone offered him this mercy, not for his crimes, but for his wounds. Something inside him shattered, a wall he had built stone by stone year after year, and in that breaking, for the first time in years, he allowed himself to feel. Slowly, trembling slightly. He reached out. His hand hovered for a moment, uncertain. He had touched countless people before, but always with dominance, power, warning. This time, he touched differently. He gently laid his hand over hers. Alice gasped softly, not from fear, but from the warmth, the carefulness, the trembling she felt in his fingertips. This was not the touch of a mafia boss. This was the touch of a lonely man who had forgotten what softness felt like. His voice was barely a breath. "I don't know how to be anything else." Alice's fingers turned slowly and intertwined with his. "You don't have to be perfect," she murmured. "You only have to be real." In that fragile moment, something changed between them. Not love, not yet, but trust. A dangerous, impossible, beautiful trust. Trust has begun to heal him, but danger still circles them. Betrayal is not finished, and soon Smith will have to choose, protect his empire, or protect the woman who just touched his broken heart. Smith stood there, silent for a long moment, the weight of years pressing against his chest. For the first time, he felt something unfamiliar. Release. A breath he didn't know he'd been holding slowly escaped his lungs. "You risked everything to tell me the truth," he said quietly, voice roughened by emotion he could no longer hide. "From today, no one will ever harm you." Alice's eyes shimmered with tears, but they were not tears of fear. They were the tears of someone who had carried hope, alone, for far too long. She smiled, softly, tremblingly. "I never wanted to escape," she whispered. "I only wanted you to be free, free from betrayal." There it was, the truth she had carried. She had not come to destroy him. She had come to save the part of him he had buried beneath steel and rage. In that quiet office where threats once echoed, another sound rose: understanding, no crime, no violence, just two wounded souls who found shelter in each other's truth. Smith turned away, walking toward the window. The city stretched before him, his kingdom, his battlefield. For years, he ruled it with iron, believing fear was the only language the world understood. But tonight, someone had spoken another language: compassion. He made a choice. Vincent was taken out of his circle. Not with bullets, not with blood, but with justice. Smith stripped him of his power, exposed his betrayal, and sent him away. No execution, no revenge. For the first time in his life, he chose mercy over destruction, his men whispered. The city wondered. But Smith didn't care. Something had shifted within him. He would no longer punish the innocent. He would no longer allow corruption to rot his world from within. He would be feared, yes, but he would also be fair. As Alice turned to leave, her task fulfilled, her heart heavy yet hopeful, he spoke her name like a vow. Alice. She stopped, hand on the doorknob, breath caught between leaving and longing. He took a step forward. Stay, he said. So softly it felt like confession, not as my prisoner, but as the only truth I've ever trusted. Her lips trembled. For a moment she looked at him, the man the world called a monster, yet who had just chosen honor over vengeance. She stepped toward him, not with fear, but with faith. In his eyes, she no longer saw danger. She saw a man finally choosing redemption. And in hers, he saw something he thought he never deserved: acceptance. He extended his hand, not as a command, as an invitation. She placed her hand in his. No words, just a silent promise. To heal what life had broken. To fight not against each other, but beside one another. This is not just a tale of a mafia boss. It is a reminder that not every man called a monster was born cruel. Some were simply never shown kindness. Alice did not defeat him with fear. She changed him with understanding. Because the greatest power in this world is not control, it is compassion.